sure everything's set up like always. Yes. Make sure it sounds not muted. Definitely not. Thank God. For small favors. Okay. Now, today we're going to be kind of continuing with the last topic. And I want to rename this video ahead of time. Let's see if I can do that now, so I don't have to rename it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's call this I want to rename this video. So I want to edit the name on this here. Let's see. No. I want to edit the video title. So first thing I want to do is I want to edit the name, because I have an idea, a topic I want to cover, and I might as well do it right now. And it's going to be called Aspergers. Well, let's try to get the spelling right for people who get upset about me with and legal blindness. And well, that's the topic. Aspergers and legal blind. INDESS in adult. Okay, so okay. My personal experience with Aspergers and legal blind. Okay, that's what it's called. My personal experience with, oh yes, by the way, welcome to the world of typos on a glass screen. With and legal blindness. You stupid. Why do you do this to me? What's a wooth? Come on. Give me a typo corrector. This thing needs, that's the only thing about with legal blindness. There we go. Okay, good. So I've updated that, so now that's up to date. And since obviously I might as well put it in the playlists anyway, right? It goes in the Aspergers playlist, and it's gonna go into the 2017 2014, 2015, 2014, 2012, and you think you got problems. There you go. Alright, so let's share this out with our friends over there with CP, and I want to send this out to another lady too, because I think Rebecca Marina Messenger would be great for her to watch this. Rebecca Marina Messenger is a spiritual teacher, and I have done many videos with Rebecca Marina Messenger in the past, and watched a lot of her videos. Yes, to me, Rebecca Marina Messenger is exactly the kind of person that this is exactly the kind of people I want to see. And of course, we also have my locals too. And you guys, of course, know doggone well that I'm going to now put this in Google Plus, and then that should be it for right now. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. So let's turn on the live chats. Okay, when is the number to call in? Well, right now, Benjamin, there is no phone number yet currently set to receive any phone calls. It would be in the studio. As I said, I did not buy the phone patch yet, and that's the reason why we don't have the call-in number. It's because we haven't even gotten to that point yet where we're ready to do any call-ins. But I do appreciate you asking about it. But I have to admit that right up front, it is not going to be a call-in show right now. So, let me just... Phone number, yeah, currently set to receive any phone calls. But I was going to work on that. So what we're going to do, let's talk about that, is we're going to buy another identical BIS 22D telephone for the Merlin phone system. And I'm buying a spare phone because, number one, we're kind of short on phones anyway. And that's one reason. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mod it. And how we're going to do that is we're going to tap into the connection that is for the speaker volume control that would normally go to the speaker amplifier, because there's actually two volume controls on the system. And the first one has to do with the ringer sounds. We don't want to have those amplified. What we do want to have amplified is the ability to, definitely don't want to amplify this ringer. I don't think you would hear in a loud video a ringer sound, if I recall, that comes in blasting your eardrums. That would be kind of embarrassing. So what we'll do is get some more BIS 22D phones. It doesn't have to be a 22D. In fact, even the standard BIS 10 would work fine. But the 22 means that we have additional keys that we can program for things like special features to the phone system. And so, very simple. Give me a couple more weeks, because I don't really have the money right now to make it happen. But I already explained that right now. But let's get back to the main topic here, which is Aspergers in legal blindness. If you are legally blind and you have Aspergers, you're hit with two sets of bricks at the same time. And it is true that when I was a child, my right eye was much clearer than it is now. And but my left eye is trying to overcompensate for my right. So that can result in some very strange results. But with Asperger's, the thing I wanted to address is how it affects us socially, and also how the two kind of compound the difficulties of life, including depression. Now, if you're legally blind, at least in the state of Connecticut, and it's probably true for many states, not just Connecticut, you're stuck in a pigeonhole in a box somewhere. You get really little money entitlements. You are basically treated as a second-class citizen, third-class citizen in some cases. In other words, you're treated worse than the lowest castes in India. And it's a real problem, because people who are trying to do a good job are finding themselves constantly being ostracized because they can't drive their cars, or people think you're lazy because you're blind, and They think that you can't, because you have some functioning sight, that you're not legally blind, which is a totally irritating annoyance completely. Just on the legal blindness scene. If you want to understand just the legal blindness perspectives, I am subscribed to a couple legal blindness channels as well, including Hello April and How Casey Sees It. Both women are legally blind, and they both speak about their blind experiences and how they and trying to deal with the public and working around the limitations. And of course, if you want to have an experience of understanding a totally blind person, watch the Tommy Edison project. I think that's what he calls it, the Tommy Edison project. He's totally blind since birth. He has absolutely positively no sight at all, not even that late perception at all. So he's totally blind by mind. He has no sight, and it looks like there was some developmental issues with his eyes. He's even explained that. I'm not making this stuff up. Trust me. Yes, it's gonna go somewhere right now. So what we're talking about is, how does a person who's legally blind and who has Aspergers cope with the issues in their everyday lives. One of the first things is with legal blindness is it's hard enough. You have, like I said, you have no necessary car. If you are living in an area where there is mass transit, you may be able to get around. But if you have Asperger's, you also have a little bit of a social anxiety issue. So for you, getting on mass transit like subways or a bus can make it even worse, because when you are doing something like getting on a bus or getting on a train with strangers, remember, Aspies have this hands off look in their stance, which is like this. I'm guarding myself. I'm protecting myself. It's the hands off look. Okay? And it's not because we're trying to be snots. A lot of them, we just feel very uncomfortable in a social setting. When you are legally blind, however, and you have to depend on mass transit, you gotta choose between the lesser of two evils. And sometimes there ain't that much of a difference when you say lesser. One, being totally stranded and isolated. Meaning, you need to go to the store, but you are afraid, or you don't feel comfortable riding the bus or taking the train. Okay? Or you bite the bullet and get on the bus or get on the train, and all of a sudden you're involved in a noisy situation where you have strange smells, strange sounds that could trigger a reaction, a spiritual, emotional reaction along Aspies. And that's something that we also need to cover. Is I'd love to have you guys ask good questions about that, because you guys come up with good questions like CP did yesterday. She came up with some great ones and made this go a lot faster. So let's try to, since we are doing the chat, let's try to keep the questions specific to Asperger's and legal blindness. Yes, we can cover both today, because I have both, so I can relate to either one. Alright, so let's talk about what happens when a person with Asperger's gets overwhelmed from too much stimulus. Some people, like myself, they start to zone out. They start to almost become catatonic. They start to shut down. And it's a protective mechanism that protects our brains from going crazy. I mean, if you can imagine the little gears in the brain spinning around madly, trying to process all the stimuli, and all of a sudden, our brain has like a foreperson that says, a shop foreman that says, okay, guys, shut it down because Michele is overwhelming. We can't handle more stimuli right now. So, shut down the ears, shut down the eyes, shut down the nostrils, shut down anything other than basic life support. You got to process what we have. In the worst case scenarios, I look like I'm going into catatonia. It does happen. People who've seen it, where my brain just totally sends, doo doo doo. I'm sorry, all circuits are busy now. Please try to call later. Yeah, kind of looks like that. You know? And you keep calling back, doo doo doo. I'm sorry, all circuits are busy now. Please call back later. I love when I try to compare with things that you guys can understand because it makes it a little easier. Even though it's not really so easy, it's not like you're saying, Michele, doo-doo-doo. I'm sorry, Michelle's not able to take personal calls right now. Please try again later. Nice, but that's not the way it works, okay? But sometimes we don't quite get that bad. But then, so now I want to ask the next question. Do people with Aspergers throw temper tantrums? And does it just apply to children? No. It applies to adults too. I'm serious. I throw plenty temper tantrums. People heard me go off at the weirdest times. It's because sometimes our brain, before it gets into the catatonia state, if we think we can have a right to vent, we throw a temper tantrum. We throw a hissy fit. Okay? Do we get on the floor and start kicking and screaming? I have. Literally, as an adult, I have, yes. But not much. But I have done it quite a few times as a kid, definitely. The reason why we do that is, just to understand this, is because it's our way, our brain is saying is, I can't take anymore. I need to stop. I need a break. I need a timeout. And that's exactly why. It's not the only reason, but it certainly is part of it. And then the other thing is too is when we have this thing that we get like that, there's another side of the whole problem, which is this. When it comes to social environments, some Aspies, usually the women do better than the boys, but not always. But usually, okay? It seems that the male Aspie sufferer tends to withdraw into his hobbies, his favorite things, if you will. You know, just like you hear from, Julie Andrews, my favorite things. You know, it's like the same thing, that they go into this land of the favorite things, and the boys will do things like start looking at the baseball cards, or start, some of them are musically inclined, they're talented, will start singing, or humming a song, or start reading a book. Unfortunately, I noticed it with a lot of legally blind people without Aspergers. I see this too, but not as much. We tend to sway back and forth. Why do we sway back and forth? I don't know. We just do. Do I? Yes. Why? I don't know. But we do. If that makes any sense. So how do you deal when a person with an Aspie has become overstimulated? For the friends and family who may have to deal with this. The first thing is get them out of the area that's causing them all overstimulation. Okay? If it's a party, And usually you'll see an Aspie is they're like they retreat. People see me do this plenty of times. If it's a loud, rambunctious party, I will go anywhere else. I have been known to hide in the basement. I have been known to hide in closets. I have been known to walk outside the building and sit on the balcony. And that's one of the first coping techniques that a lot of us will do. But if for some reason the person is not sure where to go, they kind of start acting, like protesting and start, getting, going into hissy fits. It's in that case, if they know you're their loved one, and they know that really they're sending out the equivalent of an SOS. Please help me. Please help me. I got to get away from this situation, especially if it's a formal party. They're the worst ones. When you're in a formal place, like say a meeting or like a office gathering, and there's no place to go. You've never been in this building before. You don't know the people. You don't know the building, which adds enough anxiety as it is. But when you're in that situation, where do you go if you're overstimulated? So if you see when your loved ones getting that like that, the first thing to do is to gently say, you need to get a break for a little bit, and ask them. If they say yes, I need a break, I need to get out of here. Then maybe what you might do is, if you're more familiar with the building, is okay. Follow me. I have a place where it's a little quieter, and we can talk and relax a little bit. And then you just take them out of that situation and you help them. But now if you're legally blind, on top of that, first of all, not only do you not necessarily, especially if it's an unfamiliar place, you don't know the building, you may not be able to read the signs. You may not be able to see the people's faces. You may, you're not sure if you're going to step on somebody's feet. You don't know if you're going to bang into somebody. One of the other things about Aspies is a lot of us are very clumsy. And it's not, again, it's something with the brain. I don't know why we do that, but we can be really clumsy. So we get, like I said, if a loved one sees, and I'm really having a hard time coping, like my case managers and has been told her that if she thinks I'm really seriously need a life preserver, is get me the hell out of there. Any way you can, within reason, okay? And she'll get me out of a situation where there's too many people, too much activity, so I can calm down and refocus my thoughts. And that's important because Aspies, unfortunately, also are heavy thinkers. The gentleman on the Injured Minds channel who has Aspergers says, one of the things about us is we think too much. So when something is bothering us, and unlike a neurotypical person, say for example, finding out that they got say for example, bad phone call, or maybe a notice that their insurance on the car is lapsed, if you could drive, which I can't, but use it as an example anyway, right? They will usually go, all right, I'll take care of it later. Us, All of a sudden, we start turning what a little tiny note into a giant life-shattering event, and it can become really, really bad. That's where Lumi comes in very handy. Again, I never talk much about Lumi. We should talk more about me. We should. We really should, because if it wasn't for me, Michele would probably be in really much more problematic situations than she is. And that's... I'm not just a coping technique. No, she's not. No. Okay, but... let me tell you, as a person that shares a body with a person with Asperger's, I do have some of it, but not to the degree Michele has that. The first thing I see is there's times when I basically have to take control. It's like if like if if Michele starts to shut down, I will take control, or Michele will say take control. A couple years ago at the Danbury Fair Mall, that's exactly what we had to do. Michele was overwhelmed. She was at this Danbury Fair Mall. It was during the Danbury Fair, fireworks and everything else. And the Danbury Fair itself was across the street from the mall. And it was so busy in the mall. It was like thousands and thousands of people. The mall was bustling. And people were kind of bumping into each other and jostling each other. And Michele was trying to emotionally keep calm, and she just about reached her threshold. She said, look, I can't cope with this. I got to get the hell out of here, but I don't know where to go. And I said, well, we got the backup plan. She says, yes. Option B, can you deal with it? I said, yeah, I can deal with it. So I took care of getting Michele through that day. Michele basically wasn't blanked out, but she was not in control. She had basically gave me the steering wheel and the pedals to the car and said, you drive. I'll answer questions for people as best I can, but I'm not going to deal with every social thing. And she said to me, could you please try to keep us the hell away from all these people? I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be felt. I don't want to have people looking at me. I really don't want to talk to anybody. Some of the people really smell weird. I was there because Ed wanted to go to the Danbury Fair Mall for the fireworks show. Yes. And Michele was just so unprepared for the experience. And on top of that, Michele didn't even know anything about the mall. And didn't know the layout. Michele had no clue of what was... so there was no knowledge of where could Michele go to find a safe space. Because there was no knowledge of it. I found a little bit of safe space in the public ladies' room. Yeah, that's true. There was, so there was some safe space in the bathroom. But I wasn't going to sit on the toilet the whole time, because unfortunately Ed and a few other people were running around the mall too, and I just didn't have time to spend an infinite amount of time in the safe space. So Lumi saved me because she knew that neither one of us knew the mall layout, so we didn't know where to go. But she knew that since she has my permission to take over the wheel, she did just that. She steered us the hell away from everybody. She made sure she kept like a 2-meter space between us and them. If the elevator was getting full and she eyeballed it and saw less than a 2-meter radii around in the elevator, she would not take that elevator. She knew damn well, no way. But I mean, we're in a kind of packed elevator. I don't want to put Michele in that. So she would say, we're taking the next car. She would do that because she knew I just had to get the hell away from everybody. And maybe some of you guys and girls out there may not understand that. But the way in the social interaction, and we're talking about just the regular Aspie, can feel this way. But when you got legal blindness on top of that, everything's a fuzzy situation. Nothing's clear. All you're seeing is a bunch of blurs and colors, and what you can see through your eyeglasses is just a small, partially fuzzy scene. My right eye cataract I think was a little bit thin, less irritating then, but not by much. Right? I wasn't taking eye drops at the time. No, Michele was not taking the eye drops at the time. So everything was her eyes were really going down the shitter. But what she's saying is true, is that if you have Asperger's and you are legally blind on top of that, it really adds to the anxieties and how it affects you. That's one of the reasons why. What do Aspies like? Let's talk about Michele. Well, you really explain that. What does an Aspie like as far as the social environment? Well, some are different than others, but for me, usually a small group of people, say maybe one or two people in a fairly quiet setting, is usually very good. Because I also have hearing loss. Right. And however, they say that Michele's hearing loss could be because of the pervasive developmental disorder called Aspergers. Right. So you have, which is related to the sensory issue of the Aspergers, is what happens if there's too many noises, just too many voices. What happens if your emotions are starting to run hot? You might miss cues, you might miss whole statements, and the next thing you know it, you're dealing with just a sense of total pandemonium, and that's how bad it can get. That's one of the reasons why this channel is an important tool, because I think people, a lot of people with Asperger's have been coming out on YouTube about this and covering this on their channel, is how do we react when our Asperger's is causing problems. And it's, but another thing too is for right now, like we are looking for questions in chat, but since you guys haven't asked yet, we're gonna try to answer as much as we can. Do people with Aspergers have an issue of repeating subjects over and over again? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do. We repeat things a lot. And it's just, sometimes we know we're doing it, and sometimes we don't. It all depends on the situation at hand. It doesn't necessarily help any when the neurologically typical people who do not necessarily understand Asperger's may go, why did you just tell me that 5 minutes ago? Didn't you know you just told me that 5 minutes ago? You told me like 15,000 times. And then, of course, it makes us feel bad, because it's like, well, I did? Really? I thought I didn't think I said that multiple times. And are you sure it's 15,000 is the number? I don't think I would have been talking about the same subject 15,000 times. But, it does happen. And then, of course, the other thing is, too, is, like I said, we're thinkers. So, that's something, like I said before, we think sometimes we dwell on a subject to the point where it can just make us drive ourselves crazy. Now, for example, some people were asking me, Brian K. said, when are you going to do a moon documentary? And I was like, what? What moon documentary? And I kept asking myself, what is he talking about when he says a moon documentary? I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't deal with moon documentaries. I am not into the astrophysics. I don't know anything about a moon documentary. I never said I was going to do a moon documentary. So, sometimes, I don't know if he's being serious or facetious or not, but that's something else too about Aspergers. We take it literally. When it comes to idioms, we are terrible with them. We don't necessarily understand what certain idioms mean. For example, shut the door. What does that mean? Shut the door. And I look over there, the door's already closed. Or get the fuck out of here. Next thing you know, I get out of the chair and they go, I don't mean to literally get out of here. I'm like, what? Shut up. Okay, fine, I won't say anymore. That's not what I meant. Oh, what is... what did you mean? I have the worst luck with that. And it's not easy. Okay? Now, one of the things, too, about people with Aspergers, and normally who can see, we say they have very poor ability to pick up social cues. Try having Aspergers and being legally blind. Picking up cues? What cues? I can't see your face. I can't even barely see your eyes. How am I supposed to pick up your facial cues? I can pick up maybe a little bit of your voice and your inflection in your voice, but I can't see your face. How can I tell if you're happy, sarcastic, just being goofy? I can't tell. I really can't. And it's not because, and that's the reason why we kind of gave up with the phone conversations too, by the way, here in this channel. Despite the fact that Mr. Weinstein is wondering when we're going to have a phone line working again, is given the last experience with doing the live streams with the phone lines a few months ago, around February, March, I really don't know if I want to go back there, because that was really, really a bad experience. Because of that bad experience, some Aspies will say, no, I'm not going there. But I've been trying to tell myself as well, maybe I might just be willing to try it, but I just don't know if it's worth the issues, the complexities. So yeah. Let's see. Why, if you have such a hard time with social cues and being involved in social situations, why are you doing YouTube videos? Because a YouTube video allows me to share what I know and how I see the world. It's a controlled environment. I can go back. If it was this is a live one, so I can't go back and rewind and go, oops, I screwed up with saying a certain thing. Let's erase that and start over. But rather, this is a way for me to begin to interact in a controlled environment, which is what we're doing with these chats. It's because it helps me to begin to interact with people. It's not the same thing as having a whole couch full of people, like when Sherry Heaton was here and stuff, which a lot of people have asked me, we're going to have Sherry Heaton back on again, and I would like to, by the way, but unfortunately she lives far away, and she doesn't necessarily live in Winston. So, because she has no working car, she can't get here on a regular basis. Otherwise, she said that she would like to have been on this video again. Sometimes she's an extrovert. In her case, is kind of the opposite of me. I'm mainly an introvert. I'm a quiet person. I tend to think a lot more than go out there and do fun things like blowing stuff up or you know, going to parties and putting on costumes and acting very social. I'm very quiet and very, sometimes I get very apprehensive and very scared. If I try to rush into something I'm not familiar with, there's this kind of a fear. And so for me, the YouTube videos has allowed me to share my thoughts and my fears with other people and my knowledge. And several people have contacted me with similar conditions and have said, you know what, I gotta find you very fascinating that you're addressing the same thing that I've been feeling inside my heart, as well as what am I supposed to do when I feel overwhelmed in a social situation, for example, and I don't know what to do. And that's important to keep in mind that people do benefit from being able to communicate with people. So right now, it's kind of a sad thing that there's no new questions being asked. You will notice Dory has her laundry on the line behind me. Lately I've been getting a little bit depressed, and I'm want to talk a little bit about that because it's part of Aspergers. Is depression and anxiety issues. As I said yesterday, I think Dory may have Aspergers as well, but I'm not absolutely sure because it seems that there are things that are going on in her life that are very different than my life. In her own way, she's very smart, she's very knowledgeable, but unfortunately, she lacks skills in certain areas, just as I lack skills in other areas. And one of the things that I've been getting depressed about is I see all this great changes in the American economy. I'm beginning to see companies are hiring people again. And the first question that comes up in my head is, how can I get a job? How can I find an employer willing to give me a try? Despite the fact that I have a visual handicap and Aspergers, I want to go out there and do something. Now, Dory's approach to the situation is, you got legal blindness, take your Social Security check, and just be happy. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to just take my Social Security disability check and quietly sit in a corner. I want to go to work. I want to achieve something. And she's saying is, well, I'm happy receiving nothing. And I'm like, well, maybe you're happy receiving nothing, but I'd rather be doing something with my life than receiving nothing. Very different. Very different. And it's something to think about. So the first question you might be coming up and asking yourself is, if you could find a company that could put you to work, what kind of field do you think you would be in? Do you have anything, any kind of a work experience that an employer is going to want? All of my jobs that I have done officially have been in food service. And I have a very strong love for food service. And I always have loved food service. But I also, of course, do like electronics. And I do like some technical stuff, but I'm really more into technical stuff for fun. When it comes to the things I love to do, I love washing dishes in a restaurant. I love cleaning the restaurant, and I love, being the one who is keeping your plates clean, your glassware clean, your silverware clean, and your cookware clean. Okay, that certainly is a trade that is more than likely is going to be sought after in a restaurant in an economy that's doing well. But like I've told Dory, unfortunately for us, Connecticut, because of a very terrible governor and a very corrupt state government, the companies are not hiring right now. They have decided that it is not economically feasible for a company to have an office, a manufacturing, or even a restaurant here. It's just too expensive, too much paperwork, too much taxes. So companies that would probably be able to put me to work, say for example working in a cafeteria, say for Caterpillar Tractor or for the other one there. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Carrier Air Conditioning? Yeah, Indiana. Yeah. Working, say, in the cafeteria as washing dishes and putting stuff in the stock room. These people, these companies be hiring people for that field. But unfortunately, Dory's got her own little anxiety issue, and she's like, but I worry about my granddaughter. I worry about my daughter. I worry the fact is that my daughter and my granddaughter will be far away. And I told her straight out, I said, there's no expression that says, unless you're the lead dog, the scenery never changes. What it literally means is you're looking up some other dog's butt. Okay? That's what it means. You're not seeing the new vistas, the new scenery, the new panoramas. You're just seeing the back of some other dog's butt. Okay? In this case, that's the literal meaning. But the metaphorical meaning is a little more simplified, which is, unless you're willing to take a chance, nothing's going to change. It's still going to be the same. She's saying this as well, let's get an apartment downstairs. And I said, nope. I said, nope, not happening. And she said, but why? It's bigger. I said, Dory, let me tell you one thing right now. The next time I move, it's going to be to greener pastures where I could possibly find some kind of work. Something where I could finally begin to save up to achieve the American dream of having my own home. That's what I want. Not necessarily to be a lifelong renter for some landlord. This is only a temporary thing. I remind myself that because it's true. I don't plan to stay here indefinitely. I mean, maybe when I leave the Snow Queen Palace, someday we remember is what it was. When they have been a registry of historic places or whatever. But, seriously, I just think that it would be just better to just go where I can get ahead and do something with my life. And let's be honest, collecting welfare is not the answer if you want to seriously change your life for the better. But since Dory now is also sitting there manic and upset because she can't get a car, I told her, I says, how much money are you putting aside for a car? Man, the car I want won't be available then. Someone will buy it. I didn't ask you that, Dory. I said have you been planning and saving money? You kept saying you wanted to get a car years ago. But you're putting money aside for it? No! Okay, so you put no money away, and you're spending money on things, extra things, little goodies, and stuff like that, so that instead of saying you wanted to get a car, you spend it on Netflix and Hulu and cell phone plans, and that means that guess what? You're not going to get your car unless you change your way. And CB says any big city has lots of jobs. We just had a job fair. Company needed 700 people. In Tennessee, our companies of over 500 employees is required to have 15% handicap. Exactly my point. That is what I've been trying to tell Dory. I have to go where the jobs are. Not necessarily stay in a small little town in Winstead, Connecticut, which is the equivalent of, yes, a little town in the hills of Kentucky. It literally is, because we also have our own Litchfield hillbillies. We just happen to call them raggies, that's all. Why do we call them raggies? That's a historical connection. But the point is yes, the hillbillies of Litchfield County and the hillbillies of classic Appalachia are not that different. We're pretty much just saying. We just don't have a Kentucky accent, that's all. But the point is like you said, is I need to go where the jobs are. And in a larger city, there will be mass transit. There will be commuter rail. There'll be commuter buses. There will be the problem is the housing costs will be higher. In some communities, Memphis, I've heard is got its issues, but then all bigger cities do. But the point here is, I'm willing to make that move. But Dory is like, no, I want to stay right here in Little Winstead and worry about my daughter and granddaughter. I'm thinking about going to either Wisconsin or to Indiana because of two reasons. Wisconsin is where the new Foxconn factory is going to be built. And also, there will be in Indiana and Fort Wayne, Indiana, Air Horses, the Carrier Air Conditioning, which is already established that they are, expanding their plant. Then that's a big deal for me. It's new opportunities. And let's see, next one is, in most southern states, there are minimum handicap requirements for employers. An apartment like yours is about 400. That is correct. Very correct. So you're talking about an apartment about 625 square foot. How much would a 1 or 2 bedroom home cost monthly with a rent to own? Say with a 30-year fixed mortgage. What's the list prices of houses, CP? Now, I'm just asking for guidelines. I'm not saying you can give me an exact, realtor's newspaper. I didn't ask you that. Just give me a rough idea of how much a typical home is in your area. And also, is electricity optional? Can you have off-the-grid living? Can you have your own well? Can you have your own independent solar panels? Is it mandated that you have to have one utility power to maintain smoke detectors? Can you have your own independent power systems? I believe in independence, but I also believe, and I do understand that there are people who can't do independence. So, let's see. Next thing she says here is the custodians at the university make $10.75 an hour. That's very common. Rental in a good neighborhood is about $800, so that's about what I'm paying now. Utilities, $175, or home off grid is up to you. Yeah, definitely. I always talk about off the grid, and I've done custodial work. And I'm sure that the university that she's in has probably got union custodians. That wouldn't be surprising. But the whole point here is that for those of us with Aspergers, we have to make a decision. And that's the whole point of this whole video, is especially multiply handicapped people with Aspergers. We have hard enough times, but sometimes even us, we have to gnash your teeth and hope we don't break them in the process and just go, okay, I'm not getting anything here. This is not a good situation. And I need to consider the future for myself. So, that's definitely an issue. She says that we have solar panels and city water. Well, do you have a good well? Do you have the ability in your area to drill for a well if you choose to, or dig a well? Or, no unions allowed in state university. That's their pay. Oh, okay. So the state university doesn't have to deal with state unions. Okay, that's a good thing. Because there is in Connecticut, the SIEU has driven the state of Connecticut ape shit. There's also another one called Ask Me, and they have really, hurt the state with pensions and things like that. But let's not get too deep off the subject here with the handicap, because I want to focus on that first. One of the things that I was watching on Think Tank, and they were talking about the cost of home ownership. Everybody seems to want to have that, and it is a really big deal, because home ownership is like, for me, would be like someone giving me, would be like giving a young man or a young woman who's just got their learner's permit the keys to the family car. It's like, wow, this is a next step from being under the mercy of some landlord. Now I have my own, I pay my taxes, I can decide if I want to have city water or well water, I can decide if I'm going to have natural gas or propane, I can decide if I want to have solar or wind, or a combination of solar and a grid tie system. It's just a major deal. It makes you feel better. Because one of the things, too, in general, about the handicapped individuals is, like I said before, we feel like we're in the third class. Because everybody is expecting us to just quietly sit in a corner and collect our Social Security disability entitlements and just get fat and just die. And I see that a lot every day. I see it every day in my area. And the fact of the matter is, it really is so sad. I just don't want to do that, because I know I can do better than that. And I want to do better than that. But again, there's the anxiety issue with the Aspergers kicks in, and that's no lie, which is, but what about all the stuff I'd have to do? Like, for example, figure out how I'm going to get down to wherever it's going to be to look for an apartment, come up with a security deposit, then arrange for a mover to get my stuff from here to there. How am I going to transport my cats across to that state? How am I going to get their immunization records updated in that state? How am I going to find them a veterinarian? How am I going to do all this? But pardon me, a lot of my friends who are willing to burn bridges and don't have any particular care about it, they say, leave the cats with somebody else and just get out. Don't worry about paying the rent, just get out leave before the landlord evicts you. I don't think I could do that, because I need to use this landlord as a reference, unless I can find a landlord wherever I'm going that is not willing to require a reference from my prior landlord. and it also will affect your credit score as well. So it's something serious to think about. Let me see here. She's yes, but we have great water here, aquifer. Well, that's good. You're also near the New Madrid fault line. And at least if you had your own private well, you do have that advantage that you can make sure that you don't get any of that, what is it, fluorosilicic acid or whatever that stuff is. That's the toxic stuff that's not stannous fluoride. We're talking about a fluorosilicic acid that I've been hearing about on InfoWars that's destroying your brain and destroying your pineal gland and all that. Was if it's your own private well, you would have control over if you have going to add any kind of any additives to it, or maybe you might choose, depending on your water condition, you might need to remove some minerals such as calcium. Actually, I'd be very careful with calcium removal because you need calcium anyway. But unfortunately, as we found out from Stockbridge, if you get too much hard minerals in your water, it's going to destroy your pipes. It's going to destroy your water heaters. It's going to destroy everything. So my landlord had no choice, but he had to spend money for his apartment complex in Stockbridge and installing a water softener because it was just destroying his system completely, even though it adds to its cost. Let's see. We are home to FedEx International Paper, Nike, huge company, home to St. Jude, the Cancer Research Hospital for Children. We have buses, trolleys, big biking city, free church, health center, level 1 trauma center. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly why I'm telling Dory. The same thing I just said. If you're going to I want to make a positive change. I don't want to necessarily indefinitely stay in Winston forever. Because it's the one main reason. Because our state cannot seem to fix the problems that are plaguing it. His is was one time a major employer for the defense industry for Groton Electric Boat. This state used to have a lot of defense contracts. This state used to have a lot of good resources. But because of bad planning on the state level, the government has turned the state into a major train wreck. And I cannot justify staying here anymore. Let me just make sure this thing is, turn on the backup power source here. Yes, because we're still on and I don't want to have the battery go dead on me. And the battery is getting kind of low on the Mi-Fi, but this is alright guys, tell you what, let me just check something here now. We have been talking for 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 39 seconds. And so what I want to do is I think I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Because you guys know that if the video is too long, the amount of people that are willing to watch it to the end drops precipitously off the cliff. So, but I will definitely tell you, I feel a little bit better emotionally about addressing my concerns and explaining something about how Aspies minds think from my own personal experience. And I thank you for being with me for all these years. I know I never give you no thanks. You're welcome. By the way, one thing else, Michele, can you talk about the weather real quick? Because you didn't mention the weather forecast. The weather forecast. Yes, I will. Let me get to this. Sorry, I brought my BlackBerry out here. So let's go to that right now. Let's go to the Weather Channel. Now, I will wrap this up with this because people do constantly want to know what the weather. Before I go on with the immediate local weather, the Hurricane Maria has had a very strong, devastating impact on Puerto Rico, and it's the island has curfews right now to avoid looting as well as protect the residents from potentially getting hurt because it's dark and there's no power on the island. And for the most part, it looks like could Maria decide to hook in and take its toll on the people in other parts of the United States. Well, I really wish that's exactly what I'm talking about. Well, maybe you could help me out, CB, real quick. Let me just say this. If you could get me a list of some entry-level jobs, maybe contact people that maybe I can contact to see if, like I said, I have more experience in food service than anywhere else. I would not mind going back into food service again as a dishwasher. I worked in the scullery. I washed dishes and pots and pans. That's all I did. That was my favorite job. I love that job. So yeah, I would love to go back into the scullery. Okay, but let me just get to the weather for right now. Okay, before I forget. Right now it is 22 degrees Celsius. It is mostly cloudy. It feels like 22 degrees Celsius. Winds at north at 22 kilometers per hour. The humidity is 78%. UV index is none because it's dark. Dew point is 18 degrees Celsius. Sunrise this morning was at 6:38 a.m. Sunset tonight was at 6:52 p.m. Going for the next few days, starting tonight, will be going down to about 16 degrees Celsius with 10% chance of precipitation. Thursday, which is September 21st, which officially is Mabon, and it's going to be a high at 24 degrees, a low of 13. That's the beginning of autumn. Or sometimes it lands on September 22nd, which is actually even cooler, and it will be, again, mostly sunny, a high of 22 degrees Fahrenheit, 14 degrees Celsius, 0% chance of precipitation. Saturday, September 23rd, it's going to be a warm one. It's going to be a high of 25, a low of 15, with 0% chance of precipitation. Last day for us will be for September 24th, which is Sunday. It says that's going to be a high of 28 degrees, a low of 17 degrees Celsius, a 0% chance of precipitation. Going through the just looking in advance, although I'm not going to report any of these, I don't see any really super cold days. Everything will be in the low 20s, but it will be cooling down. And I don't know about Maria hitting Martha's Vineyard, but Jose indeed is on its way to Massachusetts. It will be a tropical storm by the time Jose gets into Martha's Vineyard. So it's not going to be as bad as it could have been. So you can be rest assured that things will be a little bit better. Maria is doesn't show it hitting Martha's Vineyard, but it's definitely in the Caribbean right now. It just got done and just left Puerto Rico. Could it go east, go easterly up into the I don't know, the water right now in the North Atlantic is cooling. So that's why that they said that Jose is weakening. I don't see it's going to be any. It's weakening fairly quickly. It's just getting into the colder Atlantic waters of the North Atlantic. The reason why Maria, Harvey, and the other one there. You forgot her name. Yeah, I forgot her name. Yep. Anyway, the reason why those came in so strong is because the Southern Atlantic waters were very warm. So Irene. Oh, okay. No, not Irene. Irma. Yeah, my friend Irma. Well, she ain't my friend anymore, but that's okay. I don't think the original creator of my friend Irma would appreciate that Irma Peterson, his character, had become associated, at least by name, to a major colossal Category 5 hurricane. But that's an excellent radio show. My friend Irma. You can catch it on the Internet Archive if you're interested in old time radio. I am, so. All right, guys. Let's just wrap this up real fast. Yes, we are having our live stream starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. Is it going to be out here in the porch? Is it going to be in the house? I don't know. Given the temperatures, I would say, let me go back to that really quick here. I would say Sunday, it'll probably be on the porch, just like today, Sunday the 24th. And yes, the Soup Kitchen is open this weekend on the 23rd. So if you are in Winston and you want to go to the Open Door Soup Kitchen, you can indeed go there on Saturday at around 10 or 11 o'clock and get some coffee, a little bit of continental breakfast, and get yourself a couple, pastries and, of course, coffee, and then lunch. And they usually give free toiletries if needed, so if you need anything like a toothbrush or whatever, just ask, and if they have them, they will give you what you need. Same thing for any female hygiene products or anything like that, too. Alright, so for the time being, I want to thank you all for watching this, as I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, because this phone is down to 89%. The MiFi is down to almost dead as a doorknob, and this thing is almost down to dead as a doorknob. So, thank you for watching this. I will see you all tomorrow. Okay? Have a nice night. Bye-bye.